And good afternoon, everyone. Phil Penarski here with CBS 42 Now. Hope you're all having a great start to your Monday. We are just a few moments away from hearing from Alabama football head coach Nick Saban, as well as some of the players from the Crimson Tide as they discuss the upcoming game this Saturday against Southern Miss, as well as breaking down some of last Saturday's game against number 11 Florida, again in a very close matchup, a rematch of last year's SEC championship. The Crimson Tide prevailed in Gainesville. It was a very close game, probably closer than a lot of Crimson Tide fans would have liked, but nonetheless, the Crimson Tide once again stay number one in the country. And again, this press conference was scheduled for noon, but we are just running a few minutes behind, so we will be sure to keep you all updated right here on CBS 42 Now. You will see this entire press conference live right here, and we will also have a recap for you over on our website, cbs42.com. I also want to encourage everybody to download the CBS 42 News app. That way you can stay up to date with everything going on regarding the Crimson Tide. Also the Auburn Tigers, the UAB Blazers, who had a very nice win on Saturday as well. And, of course, everything going on across central Alabama and the country. Again, this is a live look in Tuscaloosa at the podium where we expect to hear from Coach Saban as well as some of the players in just a few moments. And right on cue, here comes Coach Saban. We will send you there live now.
Coach, go ahead.
Yeah, well, after looking at the film, we played really, really well for the first 20 minutes, 25 minutes of the game. Had three straight scoring drives, got some stops on defense, executed fairly well, and then sort of stalled on offense. 3 series in a row, we went 3 and out, started making some mistakes on defense. They scored, got back in the game. Momentum of the game changed, and we became, kind of an ordinary team. And I think there's a lot of lessons to be learned from this situation, especially playing on the road against a good team. You can't let up in a game. You got to be able to sustain and play Alabama football for 60 minutes in a game. I can't relinquish big leads. So there's a lot of things for our players to learn in terms of what we could do better from an execution standpoint, and how we need to sustain, our intensity for 60 minutes in the game so we can play Alabama football. There's another opportunity and another challenge this week against Southern Miss. These guys have played really well on defense. They're one of the toughest people to run against of anybody in the country. Offensively, I know their first quarterback got hurt, but, Keys is a really athletic guy. They do some of the same kind of quarterback runs and things that we saw a week ago. They've got good skill players on offense. These guys play hard. They're well coached. So, this will be a challenging game for us. And, I think that, spirit is a little bit different than attitude. Your spirit kind of tells you what your energy and enthusiasm is, and your energy and enthusiasm is what creates mental energy and intensity. And that's something that we got to work on, and we got to practice it every day. You got to practice it and practice. So you're developing the kind of habits and making the kind of choices that you can sustain and do things the way you need to do it when the game comes. So that's what we're focused on.
Okay, we'll get things started with Nick Kelly. Nick, go ahead.
Nick, you've talked several times about maintaining intensity first couple weeks of the season. Is that something that's a conscious decision that players have to make, or what is that?
Well, I think, you train yourself to do that, and you have to train yourself in practice. You can't hold back. You can't take yourself out. You got to put yourself in the situation that you're going to be in the game so that you feel that. And when you start to get a little bit tired in practice, you can keep on keeping on and continue to have the kind of spirit and energy you need to finish. So you actually train yourself to do that. But it's a conscious decision that every player makes. It comes down to, I'm feeling a little tired, so I'm going to change the way I'm playing, or you make the choices and decisions that I have to push through this, and I'm going to train myself so that I can continue to do this even when the game comes. So it really comes down to feelings versus making the right choices as a player.
We'll go to Michael Casagrande.
Yeah, when you went back to look at the film, did you see any consistent or schematic issues with the defense that led to the issues in the final, 3/4 of the game?
Well, we didn't execute. I think maybe there was, one time where we had a pressure on that they ran a speed option or something, and we didn't have enough guys there. But it really came down to executing. It really came down to players that they did some different things, but you got to adapt to those things and play things on principle. And at times we didn't do that very well. And we weren't very aggressive. We didn't get off the field on third down, especially in the second half. We had opportunities to get off the field on third down and did not do it. 99-yard drive, we had several opportunities to get off the field. We had a 3rd and 19 and didn't get off the field. So those are plays that you have to make in a game. So that's something that we just need to continue to work on.
Go to Charlie Potter.
Hey, Coach, just midway through the second quarter, it looks like you guys made a change at star, going from Brian Branch to Malachi Moore. Was Brian nicked up at all, or was there something else behind that?
No, we just, we want to play both of those guys. They're both good players. Both of them have been starters here in the past. So, we kind of planned to play both players in the game. And so that's just the way we did it.
Go to Aaron Suttles.
Through the first 3 weeks, how would you evaluate the wide receivers in terms of route running, getting separation and blocking, all the things that you ask a wide receiver to do?
I think that we want to develop more consistency at the position. I think we got to continue to work on separating from man-to-man coverage, which is always what you need to do as a receiver. When people play zone, give you free access, and you're running to areas and getting in holes, that's not nearly as challenging as when you have to beat a guy in man-to-man. So I think that's something that we need to continue to work on. I think we have good players to do it, and I think we're capable of doing it. We just got to be a little more consistent.
We'll go to Cecil Hurt.
Coach, no matter what you do, something in noise, so there's no way to replicate what the fourth quarter was there. Did Bryce have any communication problems, and how was he able to execute pretty successful drives, the third one sort of burning out the clock?
Well, we had two 16-play drives in the second half. I know one had ended up in a field goal rather than a touchdown, which took a lot of time off the clock and was well executed. Now, we did get 7 penalties. A couple of those were caused by, the noise. So first experience, I think we'll improve at that. And I think it was critical at the end of the game when we got a first down when we needed to in 4 minutes. And they got the ball back with 4 seconds. So there was a lot of we executed offensively when we had to in the second half.
Okay, we will go to Tony. Go ahead, Tony.
Yeah, Nick, two-parter, if I may. Just what has been your assessment of Jace McClellan and JoJo Earl? And then also, do you find players from more successful high school programs have more success when they join your program right away?
Well, Jace and JoJo both have made a lot of contributions and in a positive way. And I think those guys can, continue to have a great role in what we do. And hopefully they continue to improve and continue to have production. I think that the question you ask about successful programs, I think, first of all, players that come from successful programs usually have the right mindset for what it takes to be successful. That's kind of what they came from. But also a lot of successful programs, players really, develop a little bit more in successful programs. So sometimes even though you get a guy that maybe comes from a program that's not been as successful, they have more upside and they have more things that they can learn to improve on so that they can become significant players. Now, maybe they don't do it as quickly, but if they can focus on development and what it takes to be successful, I think they have a lot of upside in terms of how they can improve, in the program here. So it kind of goes both ways.
Go to Mike Rodak next.
You had Quandarius Robinson back with you on Saturday. Just what did he show you during his suspension, and what led to him being the backup long snapper?
Well, it was our sort of goal to suspend a guy for 2 games, which we did. He is going through a counseling program and a lot of other things here to sort of enable him to learn from making a bad choice, bad decision that actually can put other people in danger. So we want to make him aware of that, but also help him to grow and develop as a person. He's done everything we've asked him to do, so we allowed him to come back for this game. And the fact that we have a couple guys on our team that can be backup long snappers. He happens to be one of them. Major Tennyson is the other one, but he was injured and out for the game. So it was good timing for us to get Q back.
We'll go to Mike Rodak. I just went there. I'm sorry, Mike. We'll go to Stephen. Stephen, go ahead.
Coach, you talked about how Florida ran a lot of different things, but how did you see, what did you think of Drew Sanders being able to attack some of those plays?
Drew Sanders did okay in the game. I think we all could have done a little bit better job of playing the option. We focused a lot on quarterback runs. We focused some on the option. I think there were times in the game where we didn't play the option correctly. So therefore, as coaches, we're responsible for that. So we need to do a better job with all the players being able to do that. And I think have a better understanding of how to do that. So that's definitely something we need to work on this week. We'll see some of those same things this week.
Got time for 2 more, Joe, and then we'll do a follow-up with Charlie.
Coach, what was your assessment of the offensive line on Saturday, and particularly with Darren Dalcourt?
I thought the offensive line did a good job. We had decent protection for the most part. They do some, pretty good pressures that we were able to, pick up. I think that they played a little different front with their nickel people, kind of a 5-1 with an extra guy coming in the box from the secondary someplace that we had not seen much of before. We had to adapt to that in the game. I thought the players did a good job of adapting to it. So I think a little more consistency in the running game, a little more finish and blocks. But I was not disappointed in the job that those guys did. I think they are improving. They're playing more and more together. They're playing better fundamentally. I think we just have to, it's like every other part of our team, a little more consistent, a little more consistency in performance. Block here, block there, finishing a block here and there will make a big difference in how we're able to run the ball in the future.
All right, Coach, that actually wraps us up. Thanks for your time.
Emil Ekior will be our first student athlete. If you want to go ahead and raise your hand. Go ahead, Charlie Potter.
Hey, Emil. Just going back to last week's game, how loud was it on the field, and how much did it affect you guys up front?
Yeah, like it was pretty loud. Florida's a tough place to play. We had to change a couple of things as far as snap count and our cadence sometimes. So, yeah, we just got to do a better job communicating and make sure we're all on the same page so we won't have those miscues before the snap.
Michael.
Yeah, how much of that is vocal in the communication? I know you saw Bryce coming to the line, changing things several times as the play clock was winding down. Is it something you're listening for, or is that stuff that can contribute to some of the false starts?
Yeah, definitely. Sometimes just trying to hear Bryce's changes the calls or change of protection could be hard sometimes, just trying to hear. And we had some issues with that sometimes, then communicating which type of cadence we were doing. Sometimes we had confusion whether we're going on the clap, because we started with the clap going into the game, but as the sound got louder, I obviously couldn't hear a clap. So we went to a silent cadence later on in the game, so that was a little bit better.
Nick Kelly.
Coach Saban has mentioned throughout the first few weeks of the season about maintaining intensity and something he's looking for from you guys. What does that look like on the O-line?
Pretty much same as everybody else on the team, just maintaining our intensity for 60 minutes. We obviously have to do better, and it starts with practice. Just finishing plays, competing till the whistle blows every play, and being relentless for 60 minutes. So just got to get back to the basics, and it starts this week with practice, and hopefully we get it turned around.
Katie Wyndham.
Hey, Emil, kind of bouncing off the questions about the noise. How do you think for the offense, the offensive line, and Bryce as a young quarterback playing in that type of loud environment and then coming out with the win prepares the team going forward, already having played in something that tough?
I definitely think it was a really good experience for us, a learning experience, something that we could take with us into the future. So now we have that under our belt, and now we know that we have to practice a little bit more on what we're going to do in the hostile environment. So I think now we know how to go about it, and so I think we're better suited for any other situation.
Steven.
Emil, Brian Robinson's always had that type of fire about him, but just seeing how he played against Florida, what type of energy and confidence he creates when he plays like that?
It definitely brings a lot of energy to the offensive line, especially because you love to block for a guy like that. Somebody's going to fight for extra yards and run hard every time he gets the ball. So just try to match his energy and intensity and block with that same intensity, because he's going to try and run hard, break tackles, and get as many yards as he can.
Tony.
Yeah, Emil, you guys have to mix and match throughout the offseason. How much have you guys grown together, gelled as a unit over these first 3 games?
I think we've grown a lot. We've been through a couple of different experiences with Miami and a neutral setting, playing at home versus Mercer, and then just playing in a game like that. So those 3 experiences can go a long way in shaping us throughout the season. And like you said, we mix and match a lot throughout off season. So just getting this group of guys to gel and keep working together. I think we're in a work in progress and we're doing a really good job of coming together as offensive line.
John.
Yeah, we've heard probably Saban talk about 60 minutes and maintaining that probably every single week here. How many times have you heard him say 60 minutes? And can you feel like y'all let up after you've been totally dominant for stretches of games and then kind of let teams back in a little bit? Do you feel like y'all let up? And how many times have you heard that 60 minutes phrase?
Yeah, I've heard it my whole career here. It's something that Saban's always emphasized as a part of the program. It's a part of the culture. And the team knows that we have to do that and play to that standard. As far as the game, I feel like we did have some lulls in the game after we got up in a big lead, but we can't look at the scoreboard like Coach Saban says. And I think that's something that this team's working on. And now I think from that experience, we could take it and do better in the future, just because we had that experience of being up and having a lead and not sustaining our energy.
Michael.
You guys had that series it was in the fourth quarter where you got 1st and goal from the 2-yard line, had a couple inside runs that didn't go very far. I guess what was going on in those moments and, in the trenches and those high pressure moments?
Yeah, I just think we have to do a better job executing. It's part of our identity to punch it in on the goal line. So just not being able to do that is really a shot at the offensive line, and we have to do better just because we just can't do that. Like we're on the 1 yard line, we got to score. It's just unacceptable. So going forward, we're going to make it a point to be better in those situations. But, yeah, like you said, it just wasn't acceptable. We got to execute better.
Final question, Charlie.
Yeah, Mil, you're playing in between a couple of guys that are relatively new, I guess, to the first team line, and Darian and Chris, even though I know Chris has played there before. Just what have you thought of the way that those two guys have played through the first 3 games?
I think these guys have played really good, especially starting with Darian, just handling that situation at center, just being able to communicate. I thought for the most part we're on the same page in protections. And, I mean, for the most part, Bryce stood up pretty upright during the game. So just being on the same page with the Florida's exotic blitz package, it was tough. So Darian did a really good job calling out blitzes, getting us in the right calls. And then as far as Chris, has been good playing next to older guys because he has a lot of experience. So honestly, when we hear the play, we don't have to do too much talking because we already know what to do. So it's pretty good just playing a guy next to a guy like that because he has a lot of experience. So
Thank you, Emil. All right, you can go ahead and raise your hands for Will Anderson Jr. And we'll get started with Michael. Go ahead, Michael.
Yeah, just how taxing was that game? Putting out there in the humidity, 4 quarters coming right down to the end. Like, how gassed were you at the end of that game?
No, it's pretty gassed. You know what I'm saying? Just try to go out there and give it my all for my teammates and lay it all on the field and just give the game everything I got. So I think that was just the biggest takeaway from that game.
Mike.
What was difficult about the option game that Florida ran, and where do you guys think you could do better against that sort of offense?
I mean, we had the game plan. I think we just have to do a better job of executing the game plan that the coaches give us. You know, we just got to sit and fit, play the quarterback if we have the quarterback, play the option if you have the option to pitch. And I think it just all comes back to doing your job and all 11 being on the same page.
Nick Kelly.
Coach Saban's been talking about maintaining intensity and how you guys, looking to play a complete game kind of thing. What does that look like for you guys as a defense to play that complete game, and maybe where have you guys been lacking in that sense?
I feel like defensively we haven't played for 60 minutes yet. We haven't played to the Alabama standard, and that's something that we're trying to build on each week, especially coming off this week. This was a real eye-opener of that we need to get our stuff together for real, and we need to live up to the Alabama standard, and we need to play to the Alabama standard, and we need to go out there and execute, and all 11 of us need to be on the same page.
Charlie.
Hey, Will, since Chris went down, you've had some young guys kind of step up at the outside linebacker position. Just what have you thought of the job that Drew and Chris and Dallas have done in doing that?
I texted Drew after the game. I talked to him after the game. I think he did a great job stepping up and filling in. We still have room for improvement in the whole room. I feel like we need to start watching more film together. We need to just start – football needs to start being the most important thing right now. Just getting all on the same page in that room. We got a lot of young guys, and, they're just trying to come along, and we got to get them ready and get them prepared so they can help out.
Tony.
When the offense struggles and they have multiple 3-and-outs, just how taxing can that be? And then how do you kind of overcome that I guess playing a lot in a short spurt of time?
We control only what the defense controls. We can't really worry about what the offense does. We just worry about what we do when we get on the field. And if that's their thing that they have going on when we get on the field, we just try to make it better. We just try to do everything as a team and just move on and just play football.
Michael.
Yeah, Tim, if I could, just how did your knee feel out there Saturday after taking that shot a week ago?
It feels great. It feels better than it did last week, and I'm just keep doing my rehab and training on to get better for each week.
And secondly, did it get frustrating in there in the second half when Florida just kept on rolling, first downs? They weren't hitting big plays, but they were just moving the ball pretty consistently.
We kept our composure. It was some things that we had a few mental errors, but that comes with the game of football. We need to lessen those mental errors. And I think the biggest thing for us is just all being on the same page again and executing what our coaches tell us to do.
Stephen.
Well, Coach talked about, spirit over attitude, but just for you, what do you want the spirit of this Alabama defense to be?
We most definitely need to pick it up, and we both definitely need to get back to the Alabama standard. And, the message all year and all offseason was we're going to be a fast, physical football team. And I think that's what we need to get back to. So I think when everybody look at their own individual performances and we come together as a defense and we sit down and we talk, I think that will really help. And we're going to keep getting better each week, and we're going to just keep getting that message out there that we are a fast, physical football team.
Jacob.
Well, I'm just kind of curious what your leadership style is like. You talked about making football the most important thing. Are you kind of a rah-rah guy, lead by example guy? Who are the leaders that you have looked up to since you've gotten to Alabama too?
Honestly, for me, being a leader has kind of been not challenging. It hasn't been challenging, but I'm more of I do it through my actions. I'm not really a vocal leader. I just try to do things right, show people how it's done, just come in, keep my head down, work, and just show through an example how everything is supposed to be done. But, I think now I have to take that step and be more vocal and, get guys on the same page, because I know right from wrong, and it's selfish of me not to tell the other guys what they're doing wrong or, just that part of it. So I just need to be more a vocal leader.
Nick.
Penalties have been a problem at times for you guys early in the season. What can you guys do defensively to make sure that you guys have less of them going forward?
We just need to start playing. We just all need to just go back to our techniques and play technical football. You know what I'm saying? I think that's the biggest thing, with the penalties and just keying the ball and just being disciplined. I think that's what it all goes back to, technique and being disciplined. I think that's just one thing we're lacking right now.
Tony.
You came in with Jace McClellan. Just how much have you seen him develop over the last 2 years? And then how tough is he to stop when he gets out on the edge? We saw him make a pretty big play the weekend.
Jace is a workhorse. It's hard to tackle him. It's hard to bring him down in practice, especially going against him every day. He comes to practice every day. He works hard. When he gets in, he does his thing, and I'm proud of him. And he's just going to keep getting better and better.
Michael.
How much of Florida's game plan was not on film? How much of it was new that you guys had to adjust to on the fly?
Really none. I mean, we knew what was going on. I think it just all goes back to, again, our coaches gave us the game plan. We have to go out there and execute, and all 11 have to be on the same page.
Final questions for Will. Okay, thank you, Will.
Thank you.